Hello everyone, it's SK95. Welcome back to more Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Last time we finished off the last of the missions in Cannon Score, and this time finally time to finish the game off once and for all. First things first, I already collected everything, so I'm gonna go in detail with everything we need to talk about with the last thing, starting with first being what you need to do to complete the game. First things first, you need to go to the cart race, and you need to actually use any cart that you need. You can use any cart you so wish. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Now you're going to need to complete every single race, including these. Beginner, Standard, and Expert each give you an emblem. You're going to need to do this to do that. Might as well show off what Expert mode looks like. So the races aren't exactly hard to understand. You're pretty much going through the race no matter what, and you have different carts. Not exactly that hard. It uses the same gameplay mechanics that you've seen in Kart Race no matter what, such as the main game. So Kart Race is not exactly too different from the main game, so don't expect too much. Another thing you need to keep an eye on, the fact that you need to win these races. Now, the game doesn't really react well to certain areas, like the bridge, for example. If it glitches out, it's something that the game usually does in the more modern takes. So you're going to have to keep an eye out for that one. The Expert Race is actually harder because the AI has more rubber band than they usually have. So yeah, you gotta be a lot more careful in this one. So, perfectly honest, I will just do for one race and we're done with that. And then afterwards, we'll be fine after that. Now, these areas in Expert Mode are exactly as hard as you may think. So yeah, be careful. So yeah, now you basically want to slow down on purpose, that way you don't make a turn wrong, otherwise you're gonna get smacked in the wall. Pretty much everything you need to go through. Now you get boosts no matter what on 20 rings each time. 20 rings won't count each time, so yeah, don't expect too much. You're essentially just going through the race trying to complete it. I did this race before with Shadow's alternate vehicle, and this is an alternate vehicle. Oh boy, how do I talk about that vehicle without losing my mind? That vehicle pretty much goes so fast that nothing ever matters. It's the fastest vehicle in the game for a reason. Big warning though, Shadow's vehicle also has the highest speed, so if you get max speed, you're essentially making hard turns. Hard turns suck with vehicles that go really fast. In my personal opinion, if you really want to go an average set to make sure you don't whack into walls too much or, you know, lose your position too much, you're better off with the Egg Robo, because the Egg Robo actually has the good speed and good acceleration it needs, and has good grip and good braking. So yeah, you pretty much want to do vehicles that can actually help you in the race. You don't want to really go too fast so you don't lose your mind getting into the wall, but you're pretty fine to go on your normal route whenever you need to. 20 rings doesn't matter, you just need to get every 20 increments of rings so you're fine to go turns. Use the boost on every area after a turn so you can actually keep your acceleration going even further. You're pretty much going through the races no problem. Otherwise, it's pretty self-explanatory with these races. You're not exactly expecting too much. Expert is just the hardest race in the game, and I might as well show off the Expert mode because it's there for the sake of it. I hate that thing. There's always some corners you hate, and that's one of them. Now, pointing this out, this video took far longer than I wanted it to take. Because of one specific reason, and one reason alone. That is not this mode or any other mode besides this one. It's another thing in the game that's far, far more annoying to 100%. Now, this is not exactly something I recommend doing outright. You're better off just doing it on your own time and not trying to rush it. Trust me on that one, you're exactly going to exhaust yourself if you try rushing it. It's one of the worst things you could possibly do, and I'd recommend never doing that again. So let's just go make this last turn, and then we're good to go boosting. Woohoo! Alright. We're near the end of this race, and we're actually almost done. This didn't take that long as I thought, so let's end this race now. Ironically enough, the AI is not exactly the fastest in the world to actually beat, so yeah, you're pretty fine to go with this normally. You need to do every single one of them to get an emblem. This requires you for 3 emblems. The next thing you need to do is do boss mode and do boss rush. Essentially, you're going through each one of them to get the next rank. You need to use it under 30 minutes to get an emblem. Hero side, dark side, and finally, all. All essentially includes all stories plus last story. So if you want to be an eye on it, you're going to need to put aside time to actually do this because as you see, 20 minutes is quite long. Alright, for the final thing I gotta talk about, I'll cut ahead to that point. Can't talk about anything unless I talk about Chao Garden. Now, Chao Garden, I did not properly explain, so I might as well explain it now. Chao are typically animals that, or pets that you can keep in Sonic games. They originally existed in Adventure 1, and they exist in this game. They also have a lot of alternate forms that you want to keep an eye on, such as giving you animals or chaos drives. So, the difference in this game, there's a lot more chaos drives than animals, so chaos drives are different. Might as well go into an explanation of these, because chaos drives are different depending on the game. Drives were created to essentially be a lot easier to use. They essentially go for one stat outright and nothing else. This allows it to be easier to upgrade a stat once, however, they don't increase it as much as an animal will. Typically speaking, you want to go after ones that are actually really good to get stat upgrades. First, let's talk about the first stats. First things first, yellow means swim. Yeah, you heard that right. Yellow means swim. Kind of odd when you think about it, given the fact that Tails is fly, but fly is purple. Next is run, which requires you to have running speed. And finally, power, which allows you to increase your strength. The last stat, stamina, is a stat that's only given if you give food to a Chao, such as this. There are other things in the game that you want to pay attention to. If Chao are hungry, you want to feed them as much as possible. Animals do exist in this game. However, animals are randomly around the area. Each animal is the same in other games, no matter what, in the original and this game. First things first, an otter, a penguin, and a seal increases swim the most. They also slightly increase power to a certain degree, but the one that does penguin, and that's pretty much it. Penguin increases flight, while otters and seals increase something else. Condor, parrot, and peacock. Now, those are fly. Condor will, no matter what, increase your fly by 6, which is insanely good. This also increases your swim. However, it will also increase your power as well. Big warning, though, when you do this. This will decrease a stat. So, if you're not careful about which animals you pick, you're essentially decreasing a stat that you don't want to decrease if they're close to level up. Next is run, which requires a leopard, cheetah, boar, and rabbit. No, it's not a leopard, it's a cheetah. So, essentially, you want to get every single one of those animals, and they essentially give you more speed. More often than not, they're focused primarily on speed. The fastest in the group is actually both a rabbit or a cheetah. It does not matter which one, it just matters which one you pick. The only difference is the cheetah has power and the rabbit has fly. Next is power types. Power types are typically animals that increase your power strength stats. Now, each one, no matter what, bear and tiger, no matter what, will always increase their attack by at least 3.6. However, they tend to increase speed as well. Now, another thing is keep an eye out on a certain Chao. Gorilla, on the other hand, base stat total-wise, always increases power by 4. And apparently wrestling wants to stop. Alright. The next is the unique animals of blue category, such as the one I'm holding in my hand right now. This guy is a raccoon. These animals, in particular, blue animals, no matter what, will always increase all stats that they typically go for. Does not matter which one, they don't decrease any. Last but not least, second to last, not least, is mythical animals. You can get these in random locations in the game, in area stages, or you can get them out of the third Chao box. You can find these in stages. If you get all 3 of them, you get a mythical animal. Mythical animals essentially increase stats very drastically to a better degree than the blue animals. Next up is the ghost animals. Now, ghost animals are a bit different. Each animal has an effect that changes the Chao entirely. A bat will actually cause them to lose their legs. A half-fist will actually cause them to get a flame emotional ball. And a skeleton dog actually does something different entirely. If you don't like the Chao having animal parts, you can actually grab a lot of skeleton dogs and just use them on the animal parts. Skeleton dog will get rid of those parts outright, so don't worry about them too much. Now, typically stages, you want to go through certain stages that can actually give you the best. Now, there's one stage in particular, so I'll cut ahead to that point. A good stage to go to get a lot of drives, you really want to get them, is actually Egg Gate. This Iron Gate is actually one of the best stages to get drives. You can actually go through the stage quickly and get a lot of drives here. Now, big warning though, if you're picking characters, be advised that anytime you pick a dark character, only a dark other character can actually use their dark equipment pieces, or any sort of things they picked up. No matter what, that means you're going to have to pick Shadow, Rouge, or Eggman in order to use them. Another big warning is you want to keep an eye on what stages give most items, as well as characters and as well as animals. As you saw, I picked the gorilla. Not hard to get to. If you hit the second box, by the way, you will also get a bunch of animals depending on the stage. Typically in this stage, though, you're going to want to make sure you keep an eye on what animals you get. On screen is essentially an area where you can find a lot of animals. So, big warning, though, you need to keep an eye on the animals. So, there is certain animals and locations. This stage in particular also has a lot of power animals, but also a lot of blue animals, like skunks. Skunks are blue animals that are typically not hard to find. They essentially are probably the easiest ones you can actually find on the stage, so not exactly too hard to find. Anyway, let's cut back to the Chao Garden. Alright, back to Chao Garden. So, another thing you want to keep an eye on certain Chao is, well, how Chao work and operate. I'm not going to go too deep detailed. In case you're wondering, I'm not going to exactly go deep in detail with these things because it's exhausting to go through, and I'd rather not do it. But there is a life cycle for a Chao. I really go into deep detail of that because life cycles are quite important in this game. You want to make sure you take good care of your Chaos because if you don't take care of them well enough, they will eventually die if they get after their adult evolution. If you take care of them well enough, they'll enter a state known as reincarnation, which allows them to come back if some of the stats return. If they reincarnate twice, however, if you reincarnate twice, there's a special opportunity to get if you reincarnate them twice. It's rare, though. Very rare to get this. It's one of the few things you can actually get in this game. However, you want to focus primarily on how evolution works. Chao can evolve depending on several formulas, such as focusing on a stat, focusing on, well, an alignment, or focusing on entirely something different. They can evolve at random. They evolve based on age. So, a Chao's age is dictated primarily how long you've played in the Chao Garden. Big warning though, Chao Garden, you want to be careful when you age them, because they tend to age quickly if you're not careful. If you leave the game on off night, you can actually see how fast they age. They typically age very quickly as a result. On screen, there's different types of Chao depending on their evolution types. If you keep the alignment neutral, so it's example, if you say take care of them with both Dark and Hero characters, you essentially give them a neutral alignment, which means they're not biased towards any alignment. One of the more unique things about the neutral alignment is that the Fly and Run can actually start looking like characters from for Sonic games or Sega games. Fly actually starts looking, once it reaches adulthood, actually starts looking like Knights from the Sega games and also Knights' own game series. The Run Chao turns into a Chao that looks similar to Quill's size. If you keep giving it a lot of animals, anything speed related, it will start transforming into looking more and more like Sonic and changing color. Power really doesn't change too much, so yeah, don't worry about too much. Now, there are two types of Chao alignments. Chao alignments dictate how Chao work and operate. For example, I have this main Hero Chao right here that evolved based on my alignment with light. Hero Chaos typically evolve, essentially, when you pet them too much and make their alignment hero. It doesn't matter what the alignment is for this, you just want to make sure you can evolve them in the right alignment. So, yeah, Hero Chao, like this one over here, exactly evolve quickly. Now, another thing to note is that you can tell when they're Hero Chaos based on the halo they have over their heads. Next up is Dark Evolutions. Dark Evolutions don't exactly look too different, however, two to keep an eye out to are the Fly and Run as well. Fly actually looks like Rhea from the Night series, and Dark, if you give Dark Run, and it starts to keep evolving to the second evolution, it will actually start looking more and more like Shadow. So yeah, kind of cool looking. You can tell what they Dark Chao by basing their spike ball on their head. Not exactly too hard to understand. Another thing is Chao reincarnation. If you don't exactly do it, Chao breeding. Breeding essentially means, well, I'll show you examples if I can actually get one. Another thing to keep an eye on, though, I might as well talk about, is Chao Garden's known Chao Kindergarten. Now, Kindergarten has several areas you can go to. First is the classroom, which allows you to basically play any event, and they essentially learn skills. For example, this Chao, that has no name, has learned tambourine. Has not learned tambourine, but learned cassettes. You can only pick up one Chao at a time, so you want to keep an eye out where you can get, because you can only carry one Chao at a time. The only reason he was there, by the way, was just getting in my way for certain events. He doesn't age as near as in the events or lessons. The principal office is just there for extra information and learn tips about the Chao Doctor. Chao love fruits and any food. They actually have their own bias, though. So you can actually check the bias of what the Chao needs in Health Center. You want to go to the Health Center at any point you get a new Chao. This way you can have an idea of what your Chao is going to do. First things first, let's talk about the medical chart. Now, this Chao has no affinity, so it's neutral and a normal type Chao. So it technically does not have to worry about certain things. Another thing to keep in mind on is the ability ranking. In Adventure 2, if you play Dreamcast version only, you do not have to worry about that because they only stat-wise go up to 999. These go up to 9,999, so be careful what you do. Highest rank is S rank, and the lowest rank is E rank. This depends on based on level up, so if you had an E rank stat ability, that's only going to go up by at least 10 points or slightly higher. It's not exactly something that goes well. S rank, though, goes up by far more. Now, you want to keep an eye on their food and the things they like, as well as their natures. This Chao, for example, likes square fruit, so it'll take more to square fruit a lot easier than other Chao. The other one is about Chao races and other nonsense, but I'm going to talk about those last for the Chao Garden, because that's exhausting. Another thing is the known as a fortune teller. This actually makes it easy for me to get a name. Fortune teller, you won't get a fortune, but you'll get a nice name for your Chao. It doesn't matter how old they are, so it doesn't matter if you haven't named a Chao or not. It's a random pool of names, so I'm not going to go in detail of the names. So, if you don't like the name they give you, you can actually make a new name. You want a different name? Yes. You can try again, and essentially it's a random name that they pick at that pool. Chalk, essentially there's a lot of names. If you say no again, by the way, you can actually name the Chao yourself, and you don't have to worry about the nonsense. For example, if I say this, yes, I can name the Chao myself, and I'll be fine. So it really doesn't matter what Chao name you have, it doesn't matter what you feel like it. I'm going to just call him... Yeah, why not? I'm going to call him that. Actually, I just did the wrong U shape. Whoopsie. Doesn't matter the name, honestly. So we're focusing primarily on this, and that's the name of Bluey, whatever. I don't care. You know, I probably spelled Bluey wrong, whatever. The last thing we're going to talk about is the Chao Black Market. It's quite important. Now, you got to use your rings for these, so be careful. You can get eggs from here, as well as other things. Typical eggs and rare eggs are typically different egg types you want to get. The Hero and Dark Fruit essentially allow you to manipulate the Chao so you can actually give them a Hero trait or a Dark trait. The Chao Fruit is unique. You can upgrade your stats of this fruit, however, it's not as much as you think. It only goes up by 1 to 2 points based on each time they eat it, so it's exactly a bit different than you think. The square, triangle fruit, and circle fruit essentially... Sorry about that, that was an interruption. I didn't exactly plan for that interruption. So, another thing you want to keep an eye on is seeds. Seeds are not important unless you get farther in known as Chao races. I'll talk about them last. Dark seed essentially gives you a dark tree, and essentially triangle seeds, each one of the seeds do. Now, even though it says a huge apple, these things are not any food items or things you can use. They actually go on the top of your Chao's heads. It's kind of funny. Wool hat essentially makes them a wool hat, and a mushroom essentially is a nutritious mushroom. This shop updates periodically. So you can exactly have no problem doing this, and you don't really exactly have a problem with it. Unfortunately for me, it looks like I don't have the thing I need to do one thing. I want to do that, so I'm going to show it off because it's a rare event, and you want to do this quickly. Let's bring him back to the Chao Garden because it's not exactly too much of a worry. Now, Chao are, well... I'm going to cut ahead till I get to this item because I need to get this item out of the way, and I'd rather get the item now rather than later. An easy solution to this, by the way, every time your Chao evolves into a... Well, first time you get a hero and our Dark Chao, 2 gardens open up. How many more interruptions today can I have? Alright. So, this is the Dark Garden. Essentially speaking, it's a garden that looks more like dark, and every item that you get in a race, by the way, will exist here. Although, I don't think the water looks exactly kind and nice. 1 Chao was left down here, so it really doesn't matter too much. You can have Chao in the areas. Warning, though, if you pick a particular garden, time will not move for other Chao in the other gardens, so don't worry about them too much. It's just a matter of getting them quickly. As you can tell, the game glitches around this area too much. Dark Garden looks like that. It's not exactly all that different. However, the Hero Garden is probably one of the prettiest looking garden in Adventure 2. As you can tell, pretty cool looking. Also, the seesaws here. So, no Chao are really living here because, I'll be honest, it's a little bit annoying to go through between gardens and gardens just to get areas. Just keep in mind that doing this essentially means that you pick a garden that's actually the better one. It doesn't matter, really. If you want easier access, in my opinion, you're better off picking the regular garden for now until you complete everything. If you want to focus primarily on Chao to do that, you can actually do that and go to the regular garden and just separate them if you really want to. Personally speaking, I'd rather separate them in Chao that you want to focus on and Chao you don't want to focus on. Now for the last few things I need to talk about for this one. I'll be right back until I get the dang fruit. There's a fruit need, and I can't want to wait for breeding nonsense. Alright, so let's look at the black market again and see if it has what I need to look for. So the shop is updated, so you can get any egg. Big warning though, by the moderate eggs, you want to be careful because they cost a lot of rings to buy. Now, the hard fruit is what you need to get. In the original Sonic Adventure 1, it was known as a nut. Was a weird nut, but it's not exactly that hard to do. Life nut is not exactly hard. Want to buy at least 2 of them, because you need 2 of them in order to start a breed. Now, Chao have breeding seasons, but not a lot of Chao have the same breeding season. Now, big warning, you want to be careful when you do this, because you can get any Chao you want to breed, but it's a bit risk. Depending on the Chao, they breed with a different Chao, and you want to be careful with this breeding. Big warning. If you breed a Chao of a different color, such as a 2-tone Chao, it will always be a 2-tone Chao no matter what. There's no difference depending on that, so yeah, don't bother. If you pick a Chao that's actually, you know, able to, well, breed better, you can essentially breed them no matter what, and exactly doesn't have an exact issue. Now, breeding does open up a lot of opportunities to you. One of the biggest is probably being the fact that some of the stat buffs actually apply to them. This Hero Chao, for example, is something I want to breed with because it has a high swim stat. However, high swim is something that's important for races. A lot of races will use swim, so you want to keep an eye out for the swim stats. Otherwise, I'm going to just use this as an example and just breed 2 regular ones and not care. Get your butt back here. If you want to stop them from moving, you can actually pet them and actually stop them from moving. You can feed one and then grab the other one to actually keep them close to another Chao. And you need to do this in order to force a breeding season. For example, let's just throw this one here and put them together. Now they're starting to eat the hard fruit. At the last bite, no matter what, it will cause them to go into breeding season, no matter what. And if you need it, then yeah, it's a perfect idea. Right now, the Dark Chao is finally done with that, and it's starting to go into breeding season. Now, it doesn't matter what alignment they have, it doesn't matter in the slightest. Now, you can hatch this egg any way you like. However, big warning when you hatch a Chao. Throwing it affects their happiness negatively. Shaking it is essentially the better method of making sure you don't start with negative happiness. Don't have negative happiness maxed out, Chao will not reincarnate if they do that. You need at least 80 points in happiness, and it's invisible on the game, so you can't exactly tell. So let's see what this Chao hatched into and then bring it to the dang medical center, because otherwise I can't tell which Chao this is. And it's a normal Chao. If you use the blue Chao or that 2-tone Chao like that one over there, the running Chao, it would have become a light blue Chao no matter what. So yeah, you can breed them and change them depending on what you want. Now the Chao I had bred with it was a Chao that had high stamina. S-rank stamina, in fact. Now stamina is harder to upgrade than most stats because, well, there's no animal for stamina. As you can tell, a lot of things did pass on. Stamina went up to A, which is fine. That's entirely fine. In certain cases of games and other areas, you want to make sure you have at least something that says C rank. E rank is bad. So this Chao right now was not exactly good for fly or power, but it's decent in swimming and power. Swimming and run. So yeah, fly and power not exactly good, but stamina is very good. It's a crybaby personality, and it's not exactly something that you want to worry about too much. You can if you want to. If you really don't like the Chao that hatched, you can actually reset by closing the game entirely before saving it. Do not save it. If you want to do that in the Xbox version, just press the menu, go up to here, and then press this to quit. This will not save the game, and it causes the game to allow itself to essentially restock everything that you lost. This does mean, however, if you didn't save, it sticks no matter what. So yeah, keep an eye out what you're doing. Now, the last thing I need to talk about is something that you're probably not going to do for a while because it's going to take a long time. One of the biggest is known as Chaos Chao. Now, these are rare. Very rare. You're probably not going to go through a main game file if you play this game normally without getting one of these. There are 3 types. There is a normal light Chao, an angel Chao, and a devil Chao. Each one is based on their alignment. So I might as well point something out. There's requirements for this. I do not have the Chao, so I'm not going to exactly have the time to do it because it takes way too long to do it. You need 2 reincarnations to do this. That's the first requirement. One of the requirements. It needs to be on its 3rd life. The Chao must have 50 happiness. It's invisible, so you're going to have to be a hidden value. Take care of it well, and you'll be fine. You must also give the Chao every single animal at least once. And you also do not want it to actually be focused on one stat. If you get one of each animal, that's fine. Just get one of each animal, and you'll be good. You want my honest opinion? Make sure when you get through stages, go find an animal, pick it up, then leave the stage, rinse and repeat. You can leave the stage if you want to. The game actually saves all the animals no matter what you grab. So if you want to do that, be my guest. You need to make sure it's balanced. It cannot be set to any type. The last thing, if you want to make sure it's an alignment Chao with each one, such as the other Chao requirements, neutral requires the alignment of a neutral type. The Hero Chaos Chao requires a hero type character to keep using. A Dark Chaos Devil Chao, self-explanatory. You're going to need to make sure you pick a Dark Climate. Finally, time to talk about the last thing, because I do not like the last thing. This is the reason it took so long. So ungodly long. Chaosly long, in fact, that's so annoying. Now, I'm going to warn you all right now. These are a pain in the neck. First, let's start with the Chao races, because they're self-explanatory. It's the same as the original game. Nothing changes from the original game all that much, except for the fact that the races are. You have, first, the beginner race. Beginner race has several prizes you can grab. First things first, pick a Chao that you want to use for the beginner race. You can hold up a lot of Chao, so yeah, this is why I'm probably going to have to switch Chao and make sure they go to a different garden. Let's throw Charon in there, because Charon is what I've been working on previously. Now, each garden and each area at level 3 gives you nothing except for a certain item. For races in particular, if you beat the races, each and every one, you get something known as, well... I beat the wrong one. Each is self-explanatory for the stats. By the way, there's 2 hidden stats that you want to keep an eye out for. Luck and intelligence. They matter more in jewel races than anything after jewel races. So yeah, keep an eye out. Stamina is required for boosting, so yeah. Self-explanatory. For Crab Pool, if you get all the way to rank 3, you get a shovel. Rank 3 in Sumo Valley gives you the, well, watering pail. This allows you to plant trees and water them without any worry. Mushroom Forest, the skill required is running. You're going to need a lot of running for this. Not exactly too hard, all things considered. Block Canyon, of course, also requires power. So, yeah, not exactly easy. It's not exactly short. All these races are very short. For completing the beginner race, no matter what, you get access to the jewel races. Now, jewel races is where you're going to have a lot of trouble. Because there is a lot, and I repeat, a lot of jewel races. Big warning, though. The most important stat for any of these races are run. Run is typically the most important, as well as swim. Swim is going to be hard. Now, jewel races each have on their own prizes. The first race, if you get it, you get a little sapphire, as well as a little Sonic doll. This one gives you a broom, so the Chao can actually brush things off. It only matters by the Chao, by the way. If you pick a different Chao, and you complete the race, this one, you're going to get only this Chao has the item. So yeah, kind of odd. For running, it's essentially self-explanatory. You're basically going to have to get the item, and you're only going to get a weird, small book for it. Garnet Valley gives you a sort of like a pogo stick. This one gives you a weird drawing object, and the final one, the last cup, Diamond, is probably one that's the hardest. Every ability is in this one, including Onyx Cup's nonsense of weird luck and intelligence. The faster Chao solves a puzzle and faster does it, it's fine. Now, the next thing you want to keep an eye out to, there's 2 races that unlock as soon as you get a Hero or Dark Chao. Hero and Dark races exist. Now, Hero races are self-explanatory. You cannot put a Dark Chao into these races. The Dark race is the opposite. You cannot put a Hero Chao into these races. Now, Typically speaking, that sounds bad, because you can't exactly force a hero Chao if you have not raised a particular Dark Chao like this one. However, I am, for goodness sake, managed to raise a neutral run Chao which has high run. Run is actually S rank. S rank run is insanely powerful for speeding through the competition. Now, this does mean you have to rely a lot on stamina to keep going through the races because it's exactly as you expect. Power type is typically something that's only better at certain competitions, so yeah, keep an eye out. And there are a few other things I need to talk about. The last, and certainly not least, is Challenge Race. Now, I only barely won this because that was my last thing I needed to do to complete 100% of this game. But just a warning, Challenge is the hardest challenge in the game. You want at least 99 level stats. Otherwise, it's going to be exhausting no matter what. Might as well show off the last race because that is the last one. I will not have commentary for this because it's exhausting. Here comes the ultimate rival. You're going to be fighting a Chaos Chao. Yeah, that's exactly what you expect. Yeah, a lot of it relies on your luck to make good. In the beginning of the race, there's a dang box. I might as well show off the race. Here we go. Now for these rival races, like the other ones in the Hero and Dark Story, there's only the two of you. There are no other Chao in these races. You want to also keep in mind to make sure your Chao is not sleeping when you're trying to do these races or competitions. Otherwise, the Chao is not exactly going to be energetic enough to actually keep doing these races. As you can tell, the Chaos Chao is decently fast. If they solve the puzzle properly, by the way, intelligence and luck is a different stat entirely. As you saw, he solved it no problem, as well as the Chaos Chao. I solved it faster, so Charon exactly has no problem with this. You also want to keep an eye on what you deal with, because you also want to make sure you have a decent amount of fly and decent amount of run. Climbing is also important. Power is probably Charon's worst stat, so you want to keep an eye out because certain stats are exactly something you need to get. If stamina gets up to a high enough level, you can actually have a stamina wheel that actually has 2 lines. Just fair warning, you also want to make sure you keep an eye on what you grab, as well as the fact that the competition itself focuses both on more run and speed. So you want to make sure you're actually fast in this race, otherwise you're essentially going to be stuck left in dust. Like I said, level 99 is essentially what you want to get for all these races. Now, there is a strategy involved with these level 99 strats. One in particular is something I do recommend outright. Even though it's a glitch, it's probably one of the better things you can do. It's similar to vein to, say, other glitches such as the Necklace glitch from Canon's Core, which is probably the best thing you want to use because, perfectly honest, do you want to spend several minutes in Knuckles stages, which is the slowest in the game? Or would you rather get to the final level of the game without any problems? So, yeah, these quizzes are essentially just that, quizzes. Now, thankfully speaking, this Chao I have, Charon, exactly is decently smart. So, as you see, I'm going for the fruit, the correct fruit. Now, there are downsides to picking the wrong fruit. If your Chao's not intelligent enough, well, something bad happens to that Chao. Chaos Chao actually showed it off for me, considering it's actually pretty easy. As you saw, I got the correct one, but the other one got the wrong one, so the Oma Chao falls on its head. It gets stunned for 10 seconds, so time for at least 5 to 10 seconds. It's not exactly a bad thing to get hit by, so yeah, you're pretty fun to keep going. This Charon's swim is insanely good. It's a swim Chao for a reason. So, yeah, not exactly too bad, all things considered, but yeah. Another thing to keep an eye on for is, well, how you're gonna do in the race. If you run out of stamina, by the way, you're essentially gonna be low on energy and you can't move. As you saw, I went really fast in swimming water. That's what an A rank swim does. If you're S rank, you're pretty much gonna go even faster. Having all S is actually what you really want to get. Now, something I forgot to mention about the Chaos Chao, 2 things. First, they don't reincarnate after that. Oh, crud, I tripped. Yeah, tripping requires your luck, so yeah, not exactly fun. Another thing is that, well, Chaos Chao do not evolve. And they do not change from animals. And they never die. That's one of the biggest things you want to keep an eye on. They never die, so yeah, really good to get a Chaos Chao. In particular, you really want to get a Chaos Chao that has S ranks. Otherwise, that Chao's not going to exactly do much in competitions. As you saw, the last challenge race is probably the toughest in the game for a reason. I'm not going to show up any other races because, frankly speaking, I'd rather not do it. Because it's exhausting and I'd rather not do it. Now, there is a glitch. I might as well show it off with this Chao because it's a bit easier with Chasm. Now, you want to make sure they're lined up to a wall before you do this glitch. You can feed them normally. As you can tell, I fed to this one normally and it can swim. Now, if you guys are wondering, what if I say, oh, I really want to increase other stats, so it's a little bit tricky. Drop the Chao animal or anything else in front of them, and if they actually perform it right, you want to pet them if you want to stop them from moving, by the way. It's actually a lot easier if you pet them to do it. As you saw, he turned. You place the animal in front of them, I could pick up the animal still, even though I shouldn't be able to. Yeah, this glitch is very useful, especially when you don't want to go through stages constantly. Big warning though, this glitch has its own quirks, weird problems, and something else. This glitch will actually glitch out to the point where the Chao will actually not pick up the item, or you can't pick up the Chao item itself. So yeah, you want to be careful. It's a weird glitch, but I actually really like it because it's very useful. Now you want to do it with animals instead of drives because drives actually flying like animals do if they get grabbed and put into an animal or Chao. Yeah, not exactly fun. The last competition, by the way, is Chao Karate. Now, I barely beat this with sheer luck and the fact that I had to raise another Chao. That's why it took too long, because the last Chao I needed to raise, unfortunately speaking, they did not. This Chao, by the way, has bad power. You're going to need at least something in C rank or higher to actually win. This is why Rusty has level 99 stats. It's really painful to get all the way up high in Chao Karate. A lot of it's up to luck. Now, defense is basically your defense, self-explanatory. Stealth is fly. Now, stealth works similar to an evasion stat. Essentially, you can dodge attacks. Now, run means that you're going to perform actions faster, meaning you're going to punch more. Punch more. Power, well, self-explanatory. Your power is going to shoot up. If you reach to a high level like this one, it's going to be very fun. Stamina is health. So yeah, higher stamina means you have more HP. The more HP you have, the longer you can last in a fight. You have to do every single one of these to get an emblem. I'll show off Super because Super Rank is the toughest challenge in the game. Now, each competition is tough. Big warning though, you don't have enough stamina or strength, you're pretty much going to lose these things no matter what. In Super Rank, you really want 99 stats. Like outright in karate. As you saw, I take little damage. However, he dodged. Yeah, flying and dodging is all up to luck. However, if a Chao is in their animation state of getting a punch or a kick off, they actually are incredibly vulnerable to being hit. If they're not, they actually will dodge a lot easier. As you saw, I defeated Crunch in 2 moves because my attack power was stupidly high. Now, intelligence and luck don't really have much to go for the game, except for the fact that it increases your zeal's depletion or your zeal effect. Intelligence decreases the rate that it decreases over time. Luck increases the amount of zeal you recover. By the way, there's 2 different actions when you reach a certain level of power. Kicks are faster than the punch. Because the kick is faster, you can actually perform more actions faster. Dodging actually lowers your seal, lowers the opponent's seal, so yeah, if you dodge an attack, you're fine. However, if they dodge an attack, it's kind of not good. They gain zeal, and you lose zeal for it. As you see, I'm being punished for it. If you run out of zeal, you actually go into a state of meditation where you have to recover your zeal, and it's not exactly the fun thing in the world. Ha! Yeah, that can happen at DBZ moment where you essentially punch yourselves, and it actually knocks them out. Now, the next last fights are the worst. Crystal is an Angel Chaos Chao. Yeah, not fun. Another thing is, this Chao has a ridiculously high amount of defense. So as a result, I'm barely doing as much as I usually do. Yeah, as you see, kicks are moving much faster and they do more damage. Do less damage, however, they're faster. They actually send you flying a lot faster as well, but if your defense is high enough, you won't get sent flying. Ironically enough, Crystal will actually fell off the arena. If they fall off the arena, no matter what, they auto-lose. So yeah, really good to get them off the arena. Typically speaking, you want to get a lot of gorillas in order to keep your power going and do the glitch. It really speeds up the process, and you don't worry about it. Now, I don't know why this is called Angel, even though it's a double Chao. Now, this is the fight where you're going to probably have a lot of problems, because this guy has a lot more power than normally and has a lot more luck. Now, this is going to be a bit exhausting, because I fought this guy several times to win. And it's exhausting to do this, because it's a pain in the neck. If they're in a punching animation, it's actually one of the best things you can get them with, because that means that they're vulnerable to a hit. However, if you're into an animation, they will actually punish you for it. As you saw, now he has that as Zeal. That means I can actually get a free win on Angel. By the way, you can actually dodge off the stage. It's actually some of the worst things you possibly can do, so yeah, not exactly fun. The last competition in Super requires you to fight a neutral Chaos Chao. And Flash is probably one of the more tougher challenges. It's all up to luck to win this. Because this guy is evil. I'm not joking. He has far higher fly than my Chao Rusty, so yeah, keep an eye out. Also, he has far higher defenses than normal. Nope. As you saw, I managed to dodge attack, and I managed to send flying, and if you send him with Chao flying, they lose a lot more Zeal than normal. As you saw, I did a lot of damage, and I'm going to dodge this, and now it's going to dodge there, and he's out of Zeal. Now I can actually penalize him for it. If you hit a Chao while they're meditating, by the way, they actually are not able to attack, and it actually makes them easier to hit. However, as you saw, I got hit, and I was in their animation, so I can't exactly stop it. Thankfully, though, I managed to win, and it's not exactly too bad. I've had this fight go either way, and I actually got this fight where I lost the first time, because unfortunately, Flash kept dodging, and I couldn't exactly do anything about it, because in order to get your Zeal back up, you need to mash your action button. Whatever your action button is on the game system, and what system you're on, it doesn't matter which one. Now, doing all those allow you to get the next level of Chao. It's no wonder he was struggling. He was asleep. Now, for completing all the emblems, as well as getting everything else, you get a special reward. However, I'm going to show off one stage in particular that lets you get the highest ring count.
Stage select.
If you go to City Escape Stage 3, the stage loops on itself until you find the lost Chao. Meaning, you can actually get an infinite amount of rings and get up to at least 999. You can only clear up to 999 rings at a time. Doing this allows you to get more rings and essentially get to the next ring count. Everything resets when you get to a checkable goal close at the end of the stage. Normally, if you want to get the lost Chao, you can do that and get the Chao immediately. The stage itself is probably the best stage to get rings in total anyway, because it has 300 something rings normally, so you're not exactly going to be too pressed for time for especially stages in particular. Big warning though, that this stage, you're going to need a lot of electric shielding, because electric shielding is really good to get in the stage. Keep an eye on when you get your shielding, because you won't actually want to lose it, because getting that electric shield is really good to get. Now, there are other things you want to keep an eye out for. If you get speed up, by the way, I forgot to mention that, well, get speed up on a ramp dash panel at all, it actually fumbles it entirely and actually fails immediately. We saw I went back to deal with it, so it doesn't really matter all that much. Now, yeah, I got speed up, it doesn't matter too much, we're just going as very fast as possible. When you're speed up, it essentially means that your controls are slippery. Very slippery, so you can move much faster. This also allows you to get an endless supply of anything you need, such as the things you need for a single Chao or anything else. Just keep in mind that doing this is essentially something you want to risk to reward yourself. If you want a particular item and drive, you're gonna need to make sure you don't go over the 10 limit, because if you go over a 10 limit, you essentially can't get anything else afterwards. By the way, that shortcut trick is something I prefer doing, because the bully nonsense of doing the dang nonsensical, well, loops is not exactly fun to do. The timing is strict, and it's something I don't like doing, personally speaking. So let's go ahead to the next end of the stage. I see on the end of the stage where it says go back. Going back essentially resets the stage all the way up with everything you still have available to you. Now, this does not mean you're going to get the A rank no matter what. It never gives you the A rank when you do the strategies. Doesn't really matter all that much, it's just mainly for rings. Now, this is only if you need to grind up rings for certain items or events in the black market. You're better off in this stage, that way it easily allows you to reach 999. Far easier than other stages in the game. You're essentially just going to be careful on the 199 rings, and you're fine. You never get up to 1,000, so keep an eye out, really. If you have no problem dealing with it nonsense-wise, you can actually sell things you really don't want anymore. Because the eggshells actually do sell for a decent amount. The higher rarity eggs actually sell for a decent chunk. In my experience, the more valuable the egg that you grab and actually you return back, it actually more valuable than you think. So, anyway, I'm going to cut ahead to the end of this and show off the last bit of content for this. I should mention that there are certain eggs that are rarer than any other eggs. There's one in particular that's probably the rarest outright. It requires you to reach 180 emblems before you grab it, so it's a shiny black egg. Yeah, shiny eggs are probably more valuable than any egg entirely. Not exactly the hardest egg to find, though. It requires you to have 20,000 rings, however, to buy, so you're probably not going to get it in your normal playtime. You're going to have to grind up on the City Escapes nonsense again in order to get this egg. Now, typically speaking, there are one thing that you want to notice in the shop. There are 3 themes that you can buy in the shop requiring rings. First one is Chao, which is a Chao theme, I guess. Not exactly hard to get. It gets requirement is 100 emblems before you get it. Next theme is Amy Rose. For the GameCube version, you're going to need to make sure you have both 140 emblems and 2 Chao Race emblems for the unlock for it. Last but not least is Maria's menu voice, which requires you to outright speaking at all 180 emblems, as well as Link to Sonic Adventure 1 or 2. You get the GameCube Link if you played Adventure 2 on the GameCube. So yeah, keep an eye out for this one. So I might as well say what the last and pretty much the last thing you're going to do in the game. For collecting all 180 emblems, you do get bragging rights. However, one of the biggest things you get from this is probably something you really want to get. When you're completing all of this, this stage opens up. It's not normally on the map, so it's actually an area you can't go to normally. For completing 100% everything else, you get an extra stage of Green Hill, which is essentially a 3D version of the original Green Hill from Genesis games. No, I am not kidding. It's actually pretty cool. Now, this is how it would look if you played through the adventure game, so yeah, pretty obvious. A-ranking this stage is probably the toughest thing you can possibly do because, here we go, well, A-ranks. I know, right? Very tough. Buzz Bombers, especially around the area. Now, all these enemies are Eggman enemies, so if you really want animals, in my opinion, you have to come here to get the animals. Big warning, though, just keep an eye on what you're dealing with, because the stage itself, not exactly hard to... Oops. Well, yep. Yeah, if you want to go around the area, be my guest. It's not exactly easy, though. Being in a 3D plane actually makes the stage a bit harder, especially when you're not careful of the stage. There's a lot of pathways that you remember from the original games. If you really want to know what it looks like, well, it's actually easy. Now, the loop-de-loop is an automated scripted section. Yeah, there's no such thing as a loop-de-loop where you can control yourself. You probably don't want to. I actually killed myself. Whoopsie. So, yeah, I'll let you all enjoy the stage for a little bit because it's not really hard to go through, but it's annoying that I died from the nonsense. So, though, it's probably the quirkiness from Sonic Adventure 2 battle. Because Adventure 2's quirkiness is probably something that's probably the biggest weakness of the game. Especially certain stages. So, I didn't really bother to talk about all the stages entirely in Sonic Adventure 2. Mainly because of how long it would take for me to talk about it. Sonic stages are typically the best, in my opinion, because outright speaking, Sonic stages and Chao stages are typically the stages that people talk about the most in this game. And it makes sense. They're the best stages. Big warning! The Tails at Hand, Knuckles, and Mech stages and Knuckles Emerald Hunting are considered one of the worst things about Adventure 2 because of the nonsense of the Emerald Grabbing, which is the worst radar from Adventure 1, as well as other things that are probably one of the worst things about this game. So, yeah, pretty much not exactly explanatory. There I go. Now, the game acts funny with certain areas that are, well, not meant to be 2D. It's honestly pretty funny, all things considered. I'll not worry about that yet, though. Getting an A rank on this is actually quite challenging, though. Time bonus essentially is not hard to get because as you can see, I got 9,000. However, I don't got enough score. At best, I can get a B rank, but it really doesn't matter to get an A rank in the last stage. It just matters to the stage. Now, the game acts funny in certain areas. If you recall Sonic 1, well, those weird loops, those weird areas where you basically go through pipes to go to the next area, and so on and so forth. Well, let's just say the transition to this was not exactly perfect.
Here we go.
So, yeah, not exactly perfect. Let's just cut to where we need to be, because that's exactly not hard to get to, and I'd rather not waste my time doing this nonsense. You just want to be on the middle path, by the way, to get this thing, so don't worry about it too much. You just want to be on this path. So go through loop-de-loop again and manage to get this way, and oh boy. By the way, if you really want to go the other paths, my advice to you is these loops don't exactly work like intended. You have to make sure you don't move when doing a spin dash. So, remember when I said these things weren't programmed right? Well, yeah, not exactly programmed right. It's essentially forcing you into a spin ball, and it essentially sends you flying a lot of times. Just be careful where you land, because you can't exactly see where you're going, and it's not exactly the easiest thing in the world to go around. Just keep an eye on where you're going. The more rings you get in the stage, the better, because that's how your score is based around hitting enemies and nonsense like that. You're essentially just going through the stage again, like normal, not exactly anything too bad.
Yes!
So, yeah, the last content is Green Hill, and that's pretty much all you need to worry about the last thing. And the stage does sound much better when you do this, so it's not exactly a long stage, it's actually pretty short.
Stage
from the first Sonic game. And with that, that's the last bit of content for Adventure 2 Battle. Done everything we can do. So, I'll see you all from whatever next game I have planned for it, because I'm taking a week break after this. Videos are done. So, see you all next time.